On the entirely reasonable murder of a police constable by George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw was asked to give his opinion on capital punishment with reference to the murder of a police constable named Gutteridge. The murder was so sensational that it was described as brutal and callous. The author, George Bernard, believes that the murder of police constable Gutteridge by the robber was an entirely reasonable one. The robber was rationalist as there was a reason behind the murder. Reasonable murders are murders committed by criminals to escape detention and capture. The robber was aware that if he surrendered himself, he would have to spend several years in penal servitude. But if he shot, there was a possibility of escape. He was a sensitive person to whom the condition of punishment was unbearable. He added that the murderer had brains to calculate his chances of getting caught. The robber did not have any hatred towards the constable. To the robber, the constable represented the tenors and cruelties of the law. Therefore, the robber shot the law. He did not have any animosity to the constable. The robber or the criminal shot at the dead man's eye as a precautionary measure. The criminal believed that the retina of the dead man's eye would reveal his image in the laboratory. Since the law is brutal and callous, the criminal does his worst as he believes that he will face his worst. The author says that a man ought to be given death penalty when he gives more trouble to the world than he is worth. It is similar to killing of a tiger or a mad dog who is harmful to the society. Capital punishment should be given only to the criminals who harm the society. Shaw ultimately blames the justice system, calling it brutal and callous. Further, Shaw tells us that the punishment differs from country to country. The punishment for throwing sulfuric acid in Scotland was death, but in England it was not, as vitriol does not cause death, it may blind the person. He pleaded that there should be no vindictiveness nor emotion in that matter and argued that an eye for an eye was not the answer to reducing the crime in a society. Shaw begged to differ from the deterrent theory, which was the official theory that the state followed in keeping a check on crime rates. He objected to this theory on two accounts. Firstly, when detention is uncertain, no severity in punishment can keep people away from committing a serious crime. Example, when pickpockets were hanged, pockets were still picked up under the galloons. Secondly, the deterrence theory leads to the conclusion on that somebody must be punished for every crime to deter others from committing it. Shaw believed that an innocent person should not be punished just to set an example. Thus, Shaw pleaded for a liberal approach towards criminal. He suggested that the punishment must be given to a criminal with a purpose, not just for the sake of revenge or to deter someone from committing a crime. Similarly, a case should not be closed by punishing an innocent person. He believed that the state must provide the criminal with an opportunity to reform himself.